Mr. President, until such time as it complies with its obligation to withdraw from the occupied Palestinian territories, thus removing the main impediment preventing the Palestinian people from exercising its right to self-determination, Israel's duties as the occupying power in the West Bank and Gaza shall remain those of international humanitarian law as set out in the Hague Regulations and the Fourth Geneva Convention concerning the protection of civilian persons in time of war. This was reaffirmed in repeated resolution by the UN General Assembly and Security Council, by the high contracting parties to the Fourth Geneva Convention, and by the ICJ in its advisory opinion on the war. However, since 1967, Israel, as an occupying power, has constantly and systematically violated its basic duties under international humanitarian law. Such violations have included the annexation of land, the punitive demolition of houses, the transfer of population, collective punishments, political assassinations, and the use of torture. In addition, based on evidence gathered by internationally respected human rights organizations, such as Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, and by the United Nations fact-finding mission on the Gaza conflict, chaired by Judge Richard Goldstone, Israel has been charged with grave violations of human rights and with a number of war crimes in its conduct of military operations in the occupied territories. They include the failure to protect civilian populations, deliberate attacks against civilian targets, premeditated killings of civilians, denying medical aid to wounded Palestinians, firing at civilians carrying white flags, attacks on the foundations of civilian life, such as destruction of industrial infrastructure, food production, water installations, and sewage treatment plants, the use of Palestinian civilians as human shields, detention of civilians, including women and children, in humiliating and degrading conditions, arbitrary deprivation of liberty and violation of due process rights, use of phosphorus bombs in residential areas, and of diamond munitions. Mr. President, for too long, Israel has systematically challenged the will of this august assembly. For too long, it has shown flagrant disrespect of international law. For too long, its war criminals have benefited from impunity. Seeking to reverse this trend, earlier this month, this assembly demonstrated resolve in endorsing the report of the United Nations fact-finding mission on the Gaza conflict chaired by Judge Richard Goldstone. More resolve, however, will be needed so that one day we can celebrate the day we will no longer need to celebrate the day of international solidarity with the people of Palestine. My delegation is confident that this day will come because the cause of the Palestinian people